Hey guys, welcome back to Market Mamas.
Yes, today we're going to talk about the trauma of trading. Very heavy subject. We thought it would just be a good discussion to have with you all.
So, early in trading, you get sucked into the potential of it all with starry eyes and there's excitement and wonder. The first couple wins, you realize there's incredible potential and it's just waiting right there for you. Initially, it's intoxicating. But as you start to trade, you realize there's a dark side to it and a really hard side. So that's the basis for how it can traumatize you.
Right. So, our human nature is to avoid pain and trauma. And when you become a trader, you actually willingly realize you're exposing yourself to just that, the uncertainty and the doubt, the loss, the psychological fears surrounding money. It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Early on, you can almost experience a high from the wins from trading. It can feel like a drug. Conversely, like the losses can be just heart wrenching. You discover that the trading, it kind of can rip you open and expose emotions that you didn't even realize you had. After the high highs, the low lows can cut you really deep psychologically.
It's so hard. I mean, we all want to see linear progress, and you will get better and then experience regression. To work so hard and then experience substantial setbacks, it can make you question a lot of things. And it just becomes so essential that you start to just feed your mind with the type of content that really encourages you to, keep getting up after being, knocked down, many times over, and to just, keep persevering.
I think early on, I will never forget my first really hard loss in futures. It was about 2 years ago. Ticker was CL. The day is burned in my memory. I think I remember early attempts. I wanted to hide it, like not show anyone, not tell anyone. But then I just couldn't. Pretty soon, I was unable to control the sadness and the regret for like the whole rest of the day and carryover. That was my first like real exposure to how fast you can like really lose money. I don't think I fully understood, That day I defined my risk, but then I didn't accept it and I pulled my stop loss. And ultimately the emotional awfulness of that was really, really, really sad. So, I mean, there's early moments like this in any trading career. And that I think is where the real work starts of deciding whether or not you're in or out. Because it can take months to years before you really work through the process of how to avoid those big losses.
Yes, I remember the trauma of that myself. And it's that moving your stop loss or pulling it completely. I mean, gosh, it seems like that's literally like a rite of passage for all us newbie traders. I mean, I would love to find one newbie trader, that didn't go through a period of that. That was just the thing we did because we were just naive and so green about everything and couldn't could not take a loss. Just hung on to that for so long. I mean, days sometimes. It's just, it's what can make trading so dangerous, though, because you do have so much freedom to potentially risk everything. And defining your risk in any given trade or any given day, for your overall, hard stops or amount that you're willing to risk. That is really the only control that we ever have. And so when we throw that out the window, it exposes us. And usually that's when market shows us who's boss. I mean, she humbles us for sure. And so that could just be so disappointing. And that's definitely probably like the onset of when you're learning trading and that when that trauma just really starts to hit you, because it's like, you don't realize like I have one job and that's to define my risk. And if you don't show up and do that, then things can get ugly.
Yeah. I think the maturity comes when, like, instead of being depressed, tearful, mad at the market for taking my money, you have to make a switch in your mind and say, no, the market showed me that what I was trying to do was not a good plan for this day. Maybe I didn't honor a solid trade setup. I didn't check these certain timeframes first. I forgot to lean into my data. I lost track of market context. Like there's a lot of things that can get you off track so easily, and it's not her fault. Over time, you have to progress forward and recognize that.
Right. It totally is easier said than done. because the
Mhm.
emotional carryover is so strong. It's so heavy. There's already enough emotion when, you're trying to actively manage when you're on the charts, when you're in front of your screen, when you're in a trade, when you're deciding to execute, studying, how the market's moving. And then when you end up having a day where you did have a really challenging trading session, then you're piling on even more, emotions and the trauma of that. It's such a process, and it can be overwhelming. And just the task, like now it's like you have the task of like, okay, don't let my thoughts turn toxic. Don't allow doubt to start creeping in, because that can take up all your energy. And it's definitely something that can be easy to just want to avoid because it's hard, and it is unique. So what you're going through, you feel like no one else is gonna get it, or you might feel those feelings of shame. And it's a heavy process to process the trauma that is inevitable to happen.
Yeah. You have to figure out like how to approach this in your mind. So mindset is huge in life, but definitely in trading. You have to be in a positive and focused headspace to really read the market and trade with her. If you can't do that, then you're automatically starting in the hole. The carryover negativity and doubt from a previous loss, worrying, not sleeping the night before because you're worried that loss has put you into a drawdown. And what if you can't get out of it? Like, if you let that carry over, it really affects the way that you think in like every aspect. You have to recognize that it's still there and hovering and hanging, and take that into consideration if you're going to try and trade.
Failure is necessary to learn. So reframing that trauma is really important. Having that growth mindset perspective, allowing those really heavy days to be a brick in your foundation. We all have those tools. Put them to work for us, and just, realize it's not always fun, but it'll totally be worth it. And just give yourself that grace that it is totally natural to have those days, even so that everything, it just does feel like it's closing in on you, and you can't seem to not be overly emotional. And it can come out differently, on any given day with how your own, personality and what you're going through. But it's definitely it's just part of the process when you're pursuing something that is so meaningful to you. And we've compared it to being on a roller coaster ride, many days. And so just knowing that, hey, it's going to come back, down, and it's going to settle, and, you're going to get through. You just, on those times when it is really challenging, just remind yourself of the reasons why you are in this, like why you are just every day, showing up for yourself. And the trauma is worth it. One book that I highly recommend is The Daily Trading Coach by Brett Steenbarger. And in the book, he points out that we're all our own trading coach, and usually we're unaware of this. And so it just becomes very critical for us to understand that we're either going to do that consciously and constructively, or we're going to be very destructively, because a lot of us, our subconscious is just wired to, be really hard on ourselves and be overly critical. And so one of the things Becky and I started doing was, really taking that role serious and understanding that the same way we would expect, us to talk to each other, or our mentor to talk to us, that's how we need to talk to ourselves. And so really cultivating that powerful, encouraging inner voice, and not beating ourselves up, even when we mess up. That's a major pivot. That's very, very powerful.
Yeah, I love that book so much because the main point of it was that if I could only talk to myself, how I talk to others, how I talk to Kendra, like how much more encouraging and supportive would that be? I'm already doing something super hard. Like I got to make it worse in my own mind after the fact. A negative red day doesn't define you. It doesn't define you as a trader, as long as you learn from it and you pivot and you don't let it take your whole account. We have to treat ourselves with some kindness and some grace through this, because it's not like you're trying to do something super easy here. We still have to also show up for the rest of our lives too. Kendra and I are actual mamas also. And so we can't get into a negative funk and let it spill over to our children, our spouses, the other people in our family, because it's not fair. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to us, the whole environment. It's not cool. So, you have to really put importance on your self-talk. And that was a very well written in that book.
Yes, we have to honor ourselves enough to forgive, move on, and realize that we have these whole beautiful lives, and trading is a very important part of it, but also how we show up in the rest of our lives ultimately affects our trading as well. It's really a full circle dynamic for sure.
We talk a lot about bricks in a foundation, and each day can be, you're building something when you're creating a new career. So like when you are working to build a trading career, every day becomes a brick in your foundation. There's so many ways that a day can go: easy or challenging, green or red. Kendra once said that a building's foundation is not sexy. And that is so right. I mean, it's the work, it's the dirt, the rocks, the concrete, the bottom. Nobody looks at that. Everyone wonders. Everyone is waiting, though, for the beautiful lighting, the fixtures, the big windows, what's going to go inside this awesome building that's being constructed. But nobody thinks twice about the foundation once the building starts taking off. So when you're having those really hard days, the blood, the sweat, the tears, you're dirty and in the ditches, and your trading partner has to pull you out and pour you a virtual shot, like whatever it is, like you're building, and it was a dirty day, and there will be sunshine. So keep going.
Oh my goodness. Dirty day. Literally. Wow. The rock bottom. Yes. We've had to condition ourselves to have that perspective, that foundational brick after brick. We really go hard with that. The blood, the sweat, the tears, emojis, the brick emoji. I mean, we're stronger for this day. This is how confidence are built. It's what makes the success stories that much more interesting, and there's really not a lot, there's not enough out there for us as traders. You don't hear much about the down and dirty building days, right? At least not in real time. So, we want to change that culture in day trading, at least for, market mamas, for the, community we're growing, we want to try to curb that stigma that surrounds day trading.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's the essence of the trauma of trading is that there's no way around it, but through it. Everyone's experience is going to be different. But speaking for both of us, looking at our trading journeys, we have grown through the experiences, and over time we have decreased the amount and the volatility of our trauma. So I can't say I don't still have traumatic trading experiences. Some days are still fresh in my mind as recently as this last week. But because of whatever's going on in my morning, how if I was too biased or rigid in my trade plan, whatever could have led the day astray. The market just didn't do what I thought it was going to do, and I took a loss. It's easier over time. It really is. It really has to come with time. That's just been our biggest takeaway. You can't let it, I think we do a better job now of not letting it take our whole day anymore. I don't let it break my heart. I don't let it play over into how I parent. I don't let it pull my motivation for important things like exercise, projects around the house. Like those are still priorities that I can show up to, and I don't have to let regret take over the rest of my day. And I already maybe damaged my P&L for one day. Like that's enough, move on. So you have to do whatever speaks to you. Like Kendra said, we're all a little different. So, breathe, talk it out, own it to someone. I always tell Kendra, and sometimes I communicate also with my mentor and my community to sort of get it off your chest, and then kind of pivot in your day, because that's survival technique as you build.
Okay, Becky, I remember a huge evolution in our journey together. It was a day when it was a traumatic day, and you really defined a new vantage point for us. I mean, it was so beautiful. And you gave us the freedom to start having the effort energy. I mean, you were like, because prior to that, it was kind of like, the low down in the dumps kind of feeling, when we would have a traumatic day. I mean, let's be honest, so you were like, and you just switched it. You switched it that day, and you were like, nah, girl, I'm okay. I'm over berating myself. I'm over feeling like shit. And I was like, yes, give me more, say it louder, because you were done with the negativity, the toxic self-talk. And it was just such major growth. And it helped me because, you're my trading partner, and we're talking constantly all through the day. So we vibe off each other's energy. So I was just like, okay, we're done. We're done with this. We're going up from here. And it was just, it was such a great defining moment. And I will never forget that because I was like, all right, we're all the way up, like champion mindset. You know, I was like rocking emojis. Like it was just a whole so beautiful. And it was very, you know, it was a beautiful brick. It was a beautiful formed brick in our foundation and just a really great pivot. So I'll thank you for that.
Yeah. Kendra and I both have this habit of we'll make recordings, like things that really speak to us, heavy days, great days, big emotions. We'll record it on our phone, on our Memo app, and speak back, listen back whenever we need to. Or I'll do purposeful recordings. We might leak some of those out here and there. But this day, it was such an awful morning. Like I blew accounts that I had been building. It was like gut punched me. But then I was like, yeah, it was a total pivot moment. It was like there was like a significant amount of efforts in that audio. So that one probably will never release, but you know, it needed to happen. You know, you can only like fake it till you make it so much. And this was like, not even a fake it that it's okay. It was like, no, it actually is okay. Like we're amazing. I know how to trade. I know what I did wrong. I'm journaled it out what I did wrong. And I'm done. I'm done feeling shitty about it. Like anyone who's trying something super hard and keeps showing up and learning is amazing. So, I mean, that was a pivotal moment for us. And I'm
yes. Okay. So we cannot finish this discussion without bringing up one of our favorite people whose content has just helped us with just that, with those pivots, with that courage it takes, with that, you know, just unrelenting energy, you know, day after day, especially on the down days. So, Eddie Pinheiro, who has the podcast, the amazing podcast, Your World Within. I mean, he's just dropping like gems like all the time. And so one of the things that he had told us, like, I mean, you know, us, because he's just talking to us when we're listening, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Eddie, dude is not even a day trader, but everything that he says is like so applicable to our trading psychology. So we soak it up like sponges.
Right. So what Eddie said was, we're not defined by when things are great. We are defined by the ability to pick up the pieces and move forward when they are not.
Yes.
It is so important to have that perspective and to, you know, just not be overly critical, and don't wait for your worst days to judge your performance. You know, let everything balance out. Let it compound. That's the business we're in. And anyone who's, you know, just striving for greatness and just to be better and just self-improvement and, you know, any sort of power pursuit, you know, you're going to have those days, and, you know, you have to just use them as your fuel, as your strength, and just keep moving forward.
I think that is the best quote. And so, I mean, and anyone who loves trading and is building a real edge and knows about what we're talking about, like just keep going and lean into your people and know that the trauma doesn't stay that heavy forever if you just keep doing what you need to do, keep putting in the work, and let yourself breathe a little bit. So thank you so much for being here with us. Like this is kind of a heavy topic, but we like could not do justice to Market Mamas without just saying it out there. Like we've experienced personal trauma from our trading executions, and we're growing through that because that's not a place to stay. It's not sustainable, and we're worth it. Good luck to us all, and thank you for being with Market Mamas.
Right. Please do us a favor and hit subscribe, hit notifications. We'll see you soon to have more discussions. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.